Well, hey folks, welcome back to What is Ken Up To? Back to my lathe journey. This is the second one that I am doing. Sorry it took me a while to do the second one. I was, just busy with normal Monday through Friday work and doing things around the house. I did a couple other garden videos as well, which is going to be part of this channel as well. Yes, it's going to be about the lathe, but also about gardening and a few other things as well. So got my lathe all set up here in our garage. And if you watch the first episode, which I'll link to, I had it up on my workbench here, and I'd yet to set up the table that I got and do everything else to get my lathe ready to go. And speaking of the table, I did get one. And what this is, I'll show you a close-up on it, but this is a Cobalt from Lowe's adjustable table. You can get it from Home Depot as well. It's just a Husky brand. It's exactly the same thing. I got it for Lowe's because it was about $30 less, and Lowe's is right down the street, so I could go and pick it up. So this table was about, I think, $240. So at Home Depot, it's about $30 more than that. That's how it is right now. It is the end of April. Just check the prices. That's what they are. And the reason that I got this one, I looked at a couple. I looked at one at on Amazon that was about $150. It was about the same size of this. It didn't have the drawers like this one does. But the issue with that was you couldn't adjust it once you had stuff on top of it. It was one of those where you adjusted the legs at the very start, and then once you set it up, you would have to take everything off of the table, turn it upside down to adjust the legs again. So that was issue number one. Issue number two is I'm short. I'm only about 5'6", and the way that table adjusted it was not going to be low enough to work with my lathe at my height. I had mentioned in the first video where you want sort of the center line of your lathe, if you will, so kind of where if you're going to put a piece of stock in here, you're going to be kind of right in line with it. Should be about the height of your elbow, thereabouts, whatever is comfortable for you. I know when I went to a couple lathe classes, that's what it was. It was just about there, so it was perfect for me. So this table is at its lowest position. It's 28 inches. I think it'll raise to, my gosh, I think about 38 to 40 inches. And to raise and lower it, it comes with a little crank. You just put it on the side here and crank it up. It works great. So that brings this up to about where my elbow is, and that's about, I'd say about 40, 41 inches. So that is going to work really well with me. It also has very heavy duty casters on it. And to tell you how heavy duty they are, I put this together out on our front lawn. I didn't want to scratch the table surface, and so I took it out of the box, and I didn't have any room in my garage to do it. Put it all together and wheeled it over the grass, up the driveway into here. So if it could go over our thick grass, it'll go over anything. So really well built. This weighs about 110 pounds, I would say. The packed weight in the box, the outside of the box, I think it was like 140 pounds. So it was packed really well. In fact, I'll put a photo here so you can see how well it was packed. And so that means there's like 30 pounds of packing or something. I filled up my recycling bin twice with the cardboard that it came with. And I got some up here. I'll tell you about that in just a moment. But really good table. The only, I think, flaw in it to me, it comes with two drawers. The drawers are right here. Go pulling one out here. And they're only about an inch and a half deep. So you can't put much in it. There's two here. I kind of wish it was just one, maybe 3 or 4 inch depth drawer in there. I think it would have been a lot more useful. But that original one I was looking at Amazon didn't have any drawers in it at all. So, I'll make do with that. That is not really a big deal. But the setup, I think, is just perfect. Now, if you're looking at this plastic here, being in the garage here, I don't want to get lace shavings all over the place and dust. We've got right behind here, this is all our bins full of holiday, Christmas, and Halloween, and all kinds of stuff, and luggage, and a bunch of other things. So what I ended up doing is I bought a couple of shower curtains. Actually, they're shower curtain liners. They're clear shower curtain liners. It was a 2-pack on Amazon. They're 8 feet long by about 6 feet wide. And I think they were about like $13. And then what I did is I got some hooks from Lowe's, put them up in the ceiling. In fact, exactly where it is, there happens to be a joist there. So I was able to get a nice connection, and then laid a piece of 3/4 inch PVC, went to, which was what, $4. It comes in a 10-foot length, put that up there, cut it to length, about 8 feet, I'd say. Went to the dollar store, bought some curtain hooks for, I think it's like $1.25. I needed a couple packs of that. And there you go. Here's my dust protection, and it's nice. I kind of put them in the two coming together like this. So when I need to get to something, all I got to do is unfurl those back, and it's good to go. I will put another one up, that kind of right where the camera is here, right about here. That'll block off that area, but that's something I'll just put up as I need it. I'll just hook it up on either side, and there's no real way to put a pole up there just because of the light and everything else. So, but that'll work really well, I think. So I got this all set up here. The cardboard here, this was one of the packing pieces that came with the table. There was actually 4 of these, and so I kept them, and they make another perfect barrier to all the shavings and sawdust going to the back there, so I don't have to worry about too much cleaning behind there. There's another one that maybe I'll stack on top of there. So hey, that's something that's free. It works great, and so I'll probably keep that up there. I've got a plug right up in the ceiling there where our garage door opener plugs into. There's another free outlet. So I'll bring an extension cord down there, heavy duty one, of course. I want to get a 15 amp one. It's always a good idea whenever you're using any kind of power tools that you are plugging in, that you have at least a 15 amp extension cord. Really good idea to do that. And that'll work fine, I think. I can't wait to get going here. I got some scrap stock that I found, and then my father-in-law gave me some, so I'll start on that pretty soon as well. And now let me tell you about the lathe tools that I got. The first ones, well, I'll bring it up here. And I think I told you in the first video, I've listened to a couple different people, or watch a couple, actually I watch more than that, but 2 I watch mainly on YouTube. One is how to turn a wood bowl. Then there's another couple on YouTube, but there's a gentleman that I watch on Instagram. His name is Richard Finley. He is out of Great Britain, and he does mainly, I want to say, spindle kind of turning, where the other guy, how to turn a wood bowl, obviously does mainly bowls. Well, he makes this signature tool here. It's sort of a kind of a combination of a parting tool and also a spindle gouge as well. And so I ordered this. I ordered this, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. And I want to say, with shipping and handling, it was, well, it was 95 pounds, which translated, I think, to about $130. And it came nicely packed. And I gotta give kudos to the Royal Mail. I mean, I'll tell you, every step of the way, they were sending me notifications about where it was on the shipping progress, right to the point where it said, your package has arrived at your door. Pretty good. I wish our mail was as good as that, but that is really good. So let me show you this one over here. This is one. Sorry, I'm not going to take it out of the box right here. Now, this is a set of tools I got at Harbor Freight. There's a set of 8 in here. They're all high-speed steel, and they are all spindle tools of various types. And when you open this up, it comes in a nice wooden case. These were, like I said, they were about $40. They were less than half price. They had a closeout on these. And, I'm going to be the first to tell you, as many lathe turners will, sometimes it's not a good idea to run out and buy a whole set of tools because it could be you end up not using all of them. Well, whatever tool I got, I wanted to make sure that it was high-speed steel or HSS tools, and that's what those are. And my thought with that was, for the money, $40, I'm going to look at those as kind of like practice tools. I'm going to figure out which ones really work for me, ones that I really like to use. And then when the time comes and I get good at the lathe, or much better than just the few times I've used it so far, in classes, then I'll invest in, some better tools. Who knows? Maybe those will work fantastic for me for a long time to come. Now, of course, I did want to get this one because I watched this guy use this all the time, and I decided to splurge on that one. But good lathe tools, that's what they cost. The standard, what I call the traditional lathe tools, the steel tools. If you get the carbide ones that come with the little blades on the end, those are expensive too. Those can run $100, $130 or more each. So I'll get started with these, see how I like them, and then decide if I upgrade to better ones in the future. But I couldn't beat $40 at all. Uh, Let me take a moment to open that box, and then I'll show a couple to you. All right, I opened that up. I should have done that before. Sorry about that. Here's the box that it comes with. It's actually Windsor Design. That's the brand that is sold at Harbor Freight. They may still have them. I know they have this brand. I don't know if they have this exact set or not. I don't know if it's still there for $40. But you know what? They aren't bad. Again, for $40 for 8 tools, $5 a tool, you really can't beat it. So I will give these a try and see how I like them, and then we'll go from there. A couple things I do want to tell you about and show you. Let me put this down here. And that is, basic taking care of your lathe. Uh, I am someone that likes to take care of things really well. As an example, my dad gave me a really nice Henkel's knife set back in the late 1970s, and I still use those today because I took care of them. I've had a cast iron pan for over 25 years I take care of. So I'm a big person, or a big advocate of really taking care of things, even if they, are the types of tools and shop tools that you're kind of starting out with. So one of the things I did with this is, as soon as I set it up, is that I sprayed it off with a dry lube. That is what, when I went online and really looked what was best for lathe, that's what came up the most. Use a dry lube. You don't want to use WD-40. WD-40 does make a dry lube, but the standard WD-40 or 3-in-1 oil or something like that, they're all great brands, but you don't want something moist in here because, of course, dust is going to attract to that. So use dry lube. That's what I did here. I wiped it down with a little bit of steel wool. This is, the kind you find in the paint section of the store, not the SOS or Brillo pads, the soap pads, but just standard steel wool, and then wiped it down after that. And that's something, I'll probably do very often just to keep it nice. Most lathes, I think every lathe really, maybe if you get up to the real expensive ones, the base of that and most of the parts are cast iron. Yes, you can get tool rests and banjos and things like that. You can upgrade to something that's better than that. But most are cast iron rust. I have it here in the garage here. Although we live in Southern California, you wouldn't have to worry about a lot of humidity. We're getting it more and more in the summer. But I'm going to keep this well oiled down with that dry lube so rust doesn't come up on it. When I'm not using it, I still have the plastic bag that was covering it when I got it. So I'll just keep it loosely covered if I'm not using it for a few days. But overall, I like the setup here. I think it's going to work really well for me. And, we'll see. I can't wait to get started with this. And I know it's been a while, but again, I just have not had the time. Now, I'm going to show you the grinder that I got, because when you get a lathe, that's not the only thing you need. And if you get the tools, and if you get traditional tools, they need to be sharpened. So you need a grinder, and I'll show you the one I got. Well, all right, this is the grinder that I got, and there's a couple things I wanted from the start. Again, doing research, you want a slow speed grinder, or at least a grinder that can go down to about 1800 RPMs or so. So if you get a variable speed one, it can go down to that, you're good to go. This is a single speed, and I believe it is 1750 RPM. So perfect. This is 8-inch, and that is something you want as well. 6 inches are just a little bit too small from, again, my research. 10-inch one is fine. It's kind of overkill. I know there's some really good brands that are 10-inch. That's fine. If you can afford those, go for it. They're really good. Some of those brands are really good. Now, this is a Wen brand, W-E-N. You've probably heard of it. You see it everywhere. They're sold all over. You can get them at Amazon and Lowe's. And in fact, when I was watching one of the videos by How to Turn a Wood Bowl, went on their website, and that gentleman has so many articles on wood turning and all the different ways to make bowls and equipment. It's really fantastic. I think his name is Kent. But anyway, he had a link to a bench grinder, and it was this one, this model. Um, I'm not saying that this is not the one that he has, but I think he was just linking to one that's pretty affordable for everyone. These are $120, whether you get it on Amazon. I got mine at Lowe's. They didn't have it in store; they were out of stock, but I had it shipped to Lowe's, and then I went there and picked it up. I didn't want it shipped to my house. The Lowe's is right down the street. It gets there, they put it in a locker. If something's wrong with it, you can deal with it right then. If you see that the box is damaged or something like that, so that is what I wanted. I wanted that to be easy if I needed it to be. And so this came with two oxide wheels on both sides. I mentioned, I think I did in my first video, that the wheel that you really want for your lathe tools is a CBN wheel. And that's what I have here. This is an 8-inch CBN wheel. It is 180 grit. And the two, again, that you hear about the most is 80 and 180 grit. And obviously 80 is a little bit rougher. And so, again, when I researched online, I even sent a comment to the how to turn a wood bowl guy. If he was going to get one, which one would he get? He said 180 grit. So there you go. So I put it on here. By the way, the brand on here is More Super Hard. That's what it's called, folks. More Super Hard. That's the brand. And when I saw it on Amazon, I made sure to go to their website on their own. A lot of these things are just the same wheel that somebody, or the same product with anything, right? They slap a name on it, and that's that. But this is an actual company that makes all kinds of grinding wheels and sharpening tools and all kinds of different things. And this was I think I got it on sale on Amazon. You have those little Amazon coupons. I think it was like $85. So these can be expensive. These can go anywhere from, let's say, $80 to $150, just depending on the brand you get. Really nice. They even give you a pair of gloves here. This was packed really well in this box. So I'm going to give that a try. Now, let's talk about the Wen grinder itself. A couple things on this. When I was, watching people grind their tools, I always noticed they had it on it didn't seem to be bolted directly to a workbench. It was always on a piece of wood, and then the wood was set down on a workbench. And I kind of figured out why. That's because it's a little hard to see here, but in the center of the grinder, on either side, is where the bolts can come up from the bottom. You can't put them down from the top because there's no room to get the bolt down in there. And I mean, you can get the bolt down there, but then a little bit hard to connect it from the bottom. So what I did is that I took carriage bolts, and I'll put a photo up here for you, drilled the appropriate size hole, and then widen the hole a little bit for the end of the carriage bolt, put them up like this, put them up from the bottom, and bolted that down. And that works really well. I don't find a need to bolt this down and bolt the actual wood down or screw it down. Maybe I will in the future. Now to take the wheels off, this is 15/16 arbor on here, the arbor nut, I should say. So, I was just going to use my adjustable wrench, and then another, some kind of a wrench that I have here. I got another one that's similar to this to get those off. I decided to spend the money at Lowe's and buy a 15/16 combination wrench here. Mainly that was going to give me the leverage, and I wouldn't damage the nut on the outside. So, and that worked well. This is something I can use on my saws and everything else. So I'll use it again. Now, when you set this up, you've got to put the tool rests on here, which I did. You can see them here. This one's flat. This one has a little sort of a guide in here. I guess you want to come in at an angle for let's say a regular chisel or something like that. So that's why this one's going to stay in place. The problem is with this tool rest here, it's not high enough up for lathe tools. Let me take this out here and kind of show you. With lathe tools, most of them, you want to be sharpening about this angle. So think of the bevel touching at about 10 o'clock on the wheel. 10 on this side, of course, 2 o'clock on that side, but right about there. And you can see, although this is adjustable, this rests, I can't pull it up like that. So what I'm going to do, and again, seen others do, is that you buy a separate tool rest made for bench grinders. I'll insert it here so you can take a look at. And I'm going to use that. Now there's two kinds you can get. One are, there's a very popular brand called Wolverine, and they're expensive, $150 and up. And those are the ones that a lot of times mainly used for bowl gouges, but they stick out about this far. There's a bar that comes out here. You rest your tool in it, and you adjust your angle, and then you can go ahead and sharpen your tool that way. The other one, and the one that I'm going to get, is very similar to this. It's a separate piece. You can slide it back and forth. You can raise the height on it, and that is the one that I've seen Richard Finley use. Now, I'm not going to use the brand that he uses because it's pretty expensive. It's called Veritas, so they're like $80. I found ones on Amazon, and again, kind of compared the two. They're both cast aluminum. They're exactly the same size, but the one that I found on Amazon is about $33 to $40, depending, believe it or not, on the color. There's red ones, and there's just regular aluminum ones or black ones. I'm going to get the red one probably just because it's the cheapest. It's exactly the same as all the others. But that's going to go right here. You screw that down, and once I got that in there, I don't know when I'm going to get it, but once I do, I will show you that, and that should work really well. So this one will go off. This one will stay here. I might move this one to this side only because this has this little indent in it, and I don't really want to be restricted to the angle that it tells me to use when I'm just sharpening standard chisels or anything else. Now, kind of a quirky thing about this. I think this is, a really good grinder. Oh, let me show you first that I'm going to turn this on, and you'll see it's pretty quiet. Once it gets up to speed, um, you know, it's really nice and quiet. The CBN wheel is rock solid, really well. Now the oxide one on this side, it's really hard to tell in the video, but it is a little, it's rocking just a little bit. In fact, if I put my finger off to the side here, yeah, you can hear that chattering, I think, where on this side, not so much. It's just really, really nice and straight. I'm not sure why. I'm not too worried about this because I'm not going to use this oxide wheel much at all. Probably never on my lathe tools. But I have the other wheel that this came with. I think maybe I'll replace it. It just might be this wheel. Maybe I need to tighten these a little bit better. Who knows? But here's the quirky thing. This kind of makes me laugh. It comes with these guards here, these plastic guards. You know, you can see through them. This one has a magnifier on it. The other one is just clear, and it's designed to go right here. There's a hole right here. I know it's a little hard to see. And then you take a bolt that it comes with, you put it in the hole and bolt it on. Well, guess what? That bolt, if you go to tighten it in, it hits the wheels. The wheel is only, I would say maybe, a quarter of an inch or slightly less from the sides of the wheel guard here. So, so you go to screw the bolt in to hold this. You can only screw it in maybe a 16th of an inch, and that will not hold this. So, it's really unusual. If I really wanted to use these, there is a top screw up here that goes all the way through that holds this plate on, this guard on. So I could just get a longer one of those and just screw it in there. And this one is actually higher up, so it doesn't hit the wheel at all. Who knows? Maybe I'll do that. Other than that, that's not a big deal. I didn't plan on using those. Most, um, you know, um, many of these don't come with that, but if I want to use them, I'll figure out a way. That's not a big deal. So anyway, that is my setup for now. As I go further, I will show you more, but everything is looking pretty good. Again, like many of you, here I am in my tight little space, my little workshop area. That's why it's all cluttered. And our garage and the rest of the garage is full of storage. You can't even get our cars in here. That's just the way it is. And I'm doing my best to make it work. And I really appreciate you watching these videos. I got a couple comments on the last one. So please, if you have any comments, any questions, suggestions, maybe things you're looking at what I have set up here, you're going, no, don't do it that way. I like to do it this way. Hey, let me know. The other thing I mentioned before about the lathe that I got at Central Machinery from Harbor Freight, it's a 1018, half horsepower, 10 meaning how the maximum width you can put, let's say, a bowl on. In reality, it's about 9 inches and about 18 inches across the center as far as the length. It's the exact same one as the Rockler 1018 that you can get at the Rockler stores or online. And there's a couple other brands that are exactly the same too. And so the advantage of that is I was at the Rockler store, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago. They had a small demonstration with that lathe. Every part that they sell for that lathe is going to fit this lathe. So that's fantastic. Plenty of opportunities there. So once again, hey, thank you for tuning in to what is coming up to my Lathe Journey episodes here. And we'll continue on. So thank you very much.